Here's Madeleine Peyroux. The new album, let's walk, let's talk. Jon Herington, co-writer, they're all pals, it couldn't be tighter. Music is her eye, words on the canvas of her life. Jonesy for melody and a musical form, makes it phenomenal. Listen to the play, them and us for this chat.
Okay, guys, welcome to another exciting episode of Strung Out Strat today. And my special guests today are Madeleine Peyroux, one of the greatest jazz singers in the world, and Jon Herington, famous for playing with Steely Dan, but is just a wonderful guitar player, who also, if I forget to say it later, has some great albums out, and I mean really great, with fantastic songs, great singing, and incredible arrangements. And Maddie and Jon have got a new album out, and that's what we're here to promote, basically, or to reveal to the world. They'll be performing at some point. I have to say, this album is unbelievably good. It's unbelievable. The songs are beautiful, the singing is beautiful, the guitar playing is sublime. I was just saying to Jon in another establishment that the way he plays the guitar, it shows so much art and so much maturity. And what I mean by that is he is not encumbered by ego in the way that most guitar players are. Whilst he's one of the best guitar players there's ever been and one of the most thoughtful, the lack of need to prove learning and chops is quite remarkable. And in a way, when he does pull out the flash, I guess that gives it even greater impact. This is an absolute masterclass, this album. But make sure you buy his albums, you and you. Anyway, greetings, you guys. You all right?
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to talk about the album. As I said, the album's great. One thing that strikes me is the arrangements are great. I know you guys are very close friends and you've been playing together a long time. I'm just interested in the process of putting the whole thing together. How much toing and froing there was, and how much recording, pre-recording or demo recording before going into the studio to make the record. That's my first question to you.
You want to take it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to pass it back to you because my first thought is to say Andy could tell that Jon did all the work.
I didn't say that.
Not
Well,
true.
you said
Not
it's a
true.
master class, and, it's definitely been Jon's sort of oversaw, the from the very beginning there was a lot of, what was the first thing that we worked on together out of all these songs?
It
Apui,
might have
maybe.
been the French
We can't
one, yeah.
play that one for you today, unfortunately, because I've forgotten the lyrics. But they're in French, so it doesn't. We're sort of the songwriting. We co-wrote the songs. That was a lot of back and forth, but we took a lot of time doing it, didn't we?
We did, yeah. No, we did. I basically almost all of them started with Madeleine sending me some kind of recording of either
Or lyrics.
sometimes
I
just lyrics,
just lyrics.
just words and no music at all. And then sometimes with the case in the case of Apui, that French song we're not going to play, but she sent me. You actually sent me a version with music and words. The words did get edited, of course, later, but it was quite a complete, sort of song, really. And I had issues with like the chorus particularly, because it didn't do anything different from the verses. It was kind of staying the same register, and so that was like my first reaction. I said, so I recorded several sort of alternate like chord progressions and melodies for the chorus and sent them back to you, which she again like addressed as if she was getting them from fresh, and like kind of changed a few things and added a few things, and it just, with each successive passing back and forth, it just improved, and it was so clear it was improving to both of us, which was a great reassurance, and I think gave
That's
us
why
kind
we
of
kept writing together.
I think it gave us confidence to go ahead and do this, because in any collaboration, songwriting wise, you have to feel that the collaboration is worth more than you, and the results are better than what you could do alone. Either one of you could do alone,
Yeah.
or else it's not really working.
Yeah.
You know? And I have to say, in absolutely every case of these, we did 11 songs actually, and 10 are on the record. The collaborations were way better than I would have done myself, and I believe it's true probably for you.
Absolutely,
too.
yeah,
So-
of course.
So, but you know, it's funny when you work. I mean, nowadays there aren't strict lines that separate these different phases of putting a record together, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And because the songwriting, lyric writing and music writing, those are two different things, but they all leak, they leak into one another in the best songwriting, I think.
Yeah.
Some people write to like a pre-existing track. Somebody writes a track, somebody else writes a melody and lyrics. But when the two don't talk to each other in the process, I think maybe opportunities are sometimes lost, let's
Yeah.
put it that way.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of keeping the music and the lyrics in flux until you figure out what's the best combination. Sometimes the lyric has to change to accommodate the music, but more often it's the music that can support the lyric better, and we'll make some changes in that. So the idea that, I mean, that already begins to sort of blur the lines between lyric writing and music writing. But then when you begin to sort of send versions back and forth, you're picking chord voicings that, are really good, and I said, well, we got to keep that. So in a way, arrangement elements are already being created, and hinted at least, in the very beginning. So some of them have to be kept because sometimes we would do successive versions. In fact, one song, How I Wish, got thrown back and forth many times not because there was any need to change the music. The music was all Maddie's when she sent it to me first, and it was a gem. But she kept changing the lyrics over the course of many months, and she would send me new versions of her playing. And some of them would have different music, and like the melody would be subtly changed, or the chords would be subtly changed. And I'd have to tell her each time, I'd be like, no, Maddie, you lost what I loved about the original music, So I was just kind of just cracking.
Yeah,
the whip
and I was
that
like,
time,
really, you like that?
Yeah,
What was
no,
that?
no, I was so convinced. So
Yeah.
again, these are sort
Well,
of
what's really funny when we
combinations.
would
is this
start
producing? Is this arranging?
Yeah,
is this
yeah.
songwriting? All the lines begin to blur.
that's
when you're
right.
done,
That's right. Yeah.
And then we also had a demo phase with I think maybe only 3 of the songs. We did formal demos for.
Right.
That's true.
Where I would record multiple instruments and she would come and sing.
Yeah.
And so we did that for 3 tunes in the beginning. Do you remember what they were? I think it was A Puis, How I Wish, and what was the third?
Showman Dan,
Showman
which
Dan, but
was
in
a
in
completely
very
different version. Yeah.
Which would be interesting to hear. It was so different. But those we wanted to sound more professional because I think you were still looking for a record label.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to do a formal sounding demo that could have been close to record quality. It wasn't, but it was getting closer. But then, because we were running out of time towards the end, we didn't have time for demos. So, in fact, a couple weeks before, we were still meeting and still writing, and a couple of the songs, got written at a very late date like that. So there was no time to demo them, and we just had to trust that we had something that would work.
Right.
But
you would do demos sometimes when I didn't know we needed to do demos. Like, well, the one time that was really for me, landmark moment in my life was the title track of this record.
Oh, right.
I sent Jon lyrics, and Jon sent me back. He didn't respond for 3 days.
Was it
And I
that one?
thought, oh, it's a bad sign, or maybe not. Maybe I'm just going to lie down and die. And then everything's okay. And then I got a phone message, a voicemail. I'd missed a call. No, that's not true. I didn't get a phone. I got an
probably
email.
just sent you an email, yeah.
Yeah, I got an email, but
Traffic
I didn't know it was there. And I got the email finally, and it was just a recording. And it was a full demo. He had played every instrument, and he did like 5 or 6 vocal parts. And he had written the whole song, which is "Let's Walk."
Well, not really. I mean, the music, yes, but even that, the lines blur there because the demo Maddie sent me was a little bizarre sound.
What I had
but
sent
it had
you,
a clear rhythm, and it had a clear call and response thing, which is what was the essence of the song,
Right.
And so right away, I mean, like I started hearing, okay, there's a lot of ways
Yeah,
this could go.
speaking of, you have
But I said,
the
no,
bass
it's gotta be,
pedal.
it's gotta
I
be in
used an
four.
octave thing to make it sound like it was
Oh,
a
yeah,
male
so
voice.
It was sort of alien.
It sounded
sounding.
really
It was a
weird.
little bizarre, but it was very clear because it had.
But see how nice John is
It had
about
the
that.
melody.
Like I sent him really low quality stuff.
And it had
okay,
but it had the rhythm.
and that's kind of, I think, a very important part of what it's like to work with you, because even though when you make a demo, it's very professional sounding in the sense that, you know, details are intentional and thoughtful, and you know, things that are would be lost on somebody that's moving quickly or that hasn't been doing this forever. But when I come to you and I send you something that is very messy, you somehow manage to see or hear what's in the essence
I
of
think
it.
I hear the potential.
And
of it,
that
yeah, yeah.
is, I think, where you cross over from, you know, from the work and of the skill of being an artisan, where we cross over into, like, it's your whole life. It's who you are as a person, how you're willing to perceive things. And so
Well,
you
I don't
have
know.
to be, just be open. I mean, I think it's interesting because, you know, you might have a lot of opinions about what's right and what's wrong in terms of what you think is good in the world, what should be considered or curated as a good piece of art, a good piece of music. But finding your way through the profession at the same time is sort of, it's all blurry. And I don't know, I think John really is one of the few people I know that is willing to stop and go, oh yeah. And you just said that earlier, didn't you? Andy,
Yeah.
just today. So maybe I'm just echoing you.
No, no. Yeah.
You know, that's one thing. But I know you like to talk about, there's another aspect you want to talk about, but this is your show. So
You just go.
well, should we do Let's Walk since
Maybe
we
we
just
should,
talked
because
about
we're talking
it?
about, because it was.
Can I-
I wish we had the demo to play. That would be very interesting.
I'd
That
love
demo?
to hear that.
What,
the
yours?
demos. Yours
oh,
and
yours
mine.
would be great.
To hear
well,
the
we
whole
can
sort
send
of
it
process.
to Andy
I would
later.
love to hear that. Yeah, the intro of this song on the record. I've had the record a week or so. It's really interesting. The opening section. So it's got this call and response thing, as John says, which is the core of the song, and you hear that as it progresses. But the intro is amazing.
That's also a different thing. I remember that one. Maddie had this idea. This was way after the song was written. It was not a part of my demo, and it wasn't an original idea. But when I think maybe when you heard all the background vocals, you start thinking of like other ideas that voices could do, and so she had this idea that, like, I don't know if you thought of it as a round or I thought of it as a round. I have a history, a sort of closet history of being a round writer. I love rounds.
Oh, okay.
I once studied
It's a
with
closeted
a guy in
history.
college who used the round as a way to sort of demonstrate, like, how the horizontal in music and the vertical can't really be picked apart.
Right.
And it's a beautiful example of if a round's well written, you have a single line that has integrity, a lot of integrity. But when it gets repeated at various points, it's infinite canon at the unison is really the way to think of it. When you have that and they all stack up and all of a sudden, like, you have harmony, then
Right.
it cuts against that sort of habit of thinking either one way or the other. Just this is what the melody does, or this is what the chords do.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a way to sort of see their interdependence or
Yeah,
something. It's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
So we were thinking of and she knows I love rounds. So I think
Yeah.
that's probably what made
Yeah.
me say, let's do a round. And so I took her literally and tried to write a round that would
It
work
was
on
so
some
hard.
of this music, and it wasn't really working. And she said, well, no, this can't. She was complaining because it didn't work. I mean, she was right. And
I
we were in
wasn't.
the studio and actually together then, and so I said, well, okay, well. So basically, I think we had trouble for a while. It kind of shut down, and then nothing was happening. And then finally, something happened. We picked one little melody that was working, which was that. Because she had a lyric for it, and I think we knew what we wanted to do. And I said, well, why don't we just sort of harmonize that in a more normal gospel way, which was when, ended up like that.
Yeah.
And then we thought, well, we can't. It's not a round exactly, but we could record one section of vocals doing that, and then we record the same thing. And I think I just probably copied and pasted, and then like created a bunch of other tracks so it could happen like a. One was doing like that, but the other one would be going. So it would always be staggered, you know. Anyway, so yeah, let's play this, and we'll see if we can. We can't do the record version justice, but we can play it. It's nice.
And Patti, you're going to help at the end, yeah?
Anybody who wants
Anybody
to sing
wants
at the
to
end,
sing
they can-
along, just
When you hear that part, now you've heard it enough now, so you all should know what it is. Right, Teach?
okay.
All right, so we won't start with that, though. We'll just start.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless you want to start?
No.
Okay.
It's just
From the top. So shall I count it? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Let's walk.
let's walk, let's walk, let's walk,
Let's roll.
let's roll, let's roll, let's roll.
Let us advance our mortal bodies up where hearts and minds will go. Let's lead.
Let's lead, let's lead, let's lead.
And behold.
Behold, behold, behold.
Progress within the peaceful test of power, growing as we go. You reap, reap what you sow.
What you sow, what you sow, what you sow.
We keep our deepest love at hand, and never shall we let it go. Let's walk.
Let's walk, let's walk, let's walk.
Let's roll.
Let's roll, let's roll.
You are the people of my heart and soul. I want the world to know you are the people of my heart and soul. I want the world to know. Let's walk.
Let's walk, let's walk, let's walk.
Let's roll.
Let's roll, let's roll, let's roll.
In step we bless togetherness from far and wide, from heel to toe, and we'll see,
We'll see, we'll see, we'll see.
and we'll know.
We'll know, we'll know, we'll know.
We climb that mountainside where seeds were planted, oh, so long ago. It's deep. Deep down below. With our feet and hands aligned, we stand for love. Yes, love is what we show. Let's walk. Let's roll. We are the people of our heart and soul. I want the world to know we are the people of my heart and soul. I want the world to know. Let's walk. Let's roll. Come on, everybody. Yes. Let's walk and roll. Now I want the world to know. Yes, I want the world to know. Oh,
Yeah. I just have to ask you a question. So,
Yeah.
which were the tunes that got written last in
Last?
greater haste than the rest of them?
I think "Take Care" was one of them. That was
Yeah,
probably
let's
the
do
last
that
one.
next.
That was the last
I
one.
love
think.
that.
Yeah, that was
That's a hard
John.
one.
John sat down and he said, we were both frustrated about something. I forget what it was. Okay, I got to write a song. Okay. And he just started going da 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 da
Yeah,
da
the part
da
I-
da da
I think
da
that's
da
the whole-
da da
That was the whole
da.
thing. That started with that.
He just wrote the whole thing on the spot.
And
And I said, that's got great energy.
Yeah.
It's basically rhythm change.
Yeah, yeah.
A little.
And
I'm
now
not.
every day, every
Yeah,
time
yeah.
we have a show now, he looks at me, he goes, I wish I had never written this song.
Well,
'cause
because
it's so hard.
It's kind of a stamina thing because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like it's I don't know, it's 5 or 6 minutes long. And it's like, it's a little faster than that,
And I don't have to do anything.
that's why you liked it.
Yeah.
I'll teach you. That's like Joe Walsh talking about Rocky Mountain Way,
Oh, really?
which he'd never written because he always has to play it. But this is interesting actually because two things that come to mind in terms of like the arrangement.
Yeah.
That lack of ego shows in the arrangement, but I love the shape of this arrangement. So it starts with this strumming thing that John just played. Then the drums play this kind of percussive kind of thing after 4 bars. Then John goes right the way through the form with this strumming pattern, which is very groovy, by the way. And then the bass comes in with quite an interesting bass line. And I've muscled in just because I wanted to show off this pedal that I just got. But what's interesting is the bass line. I've probably misread the harmony. But am I right in thinking you keep the same, when you start, right?
Yeah.
So you've got, what chord is the second half of bar 2?
Well, it's a little tricky. That's the first bar, and then
Yeah.
second bar. Now that's just.
Right.
You remember that Michael Jackson song? There was a there was one like it was kind of a more recent how did it go?
Black and white, right?
Maybe, yeah.
Can't quite remember that.
But those are the chords. And just those 3 voices.
Right.
And it's a little. So this one so it's got the B flat and all those.
Yeah.
It's
It's
the other.
kind of like A sus, A
It's-
flat sus, right?
Yeah.
This is around the. That's what's going on around.
Dude, you and rounds.
So,
what's with you and rounds?
So now here, they're just 3 notes. It's G flat, D flat. So it's
Yeah.
4, 1, 2 in the key. If you put an A flat, it's a beautiful A
Yeah,
flat
yeah.
7
Yeah.
sus 4. If you put an E flat minor, it's like an E flat minor
Yeah.
7th. There's no 5th in it yet. But also, I thought that if we kept it sort of clean and not too many notes and just those notes, not chords again, but just a part.
Yeah.
Then another moving part might make it just more interesting. You're still going to get enough of the feeling of the key,
Yeah.
and you have to pick the right bass notes. Originally, I thought it was going to be a little more loose, like a little more improvised, but Paul sort of settled on one part. But it works, and it was funny trying to write it out because whenever that chord comes up, if there's a different bass note, I say, well, should I call it a different thing?
Yeah, yeah.
And so that just shows the limitations sometimes of the chord
Notation.
naming
Yeah, yeah,
system,
sure, yeah, yeah.
Because the proof is in what's going on with the actual notes.
With that, see, that relates to
details.
that thing you were talking about, rounds. It's the harmony created at the moment by 2 things working
Right, and
simultaneously.
yeah, but it's not thinking vertically is a trap in that way, and
Yeah.
you miss a lot of opportunities if you don't. But you got to make sure that they work. That what's lining up vertically, you
Yeah.
want to be effective,
Yeah.
but you don't want to compromise the sort of horizontal integrity of
Yeah,
each
yeah,
part,
yeah.
including the bass part or this part. So
Yeah, yeah.
so we had to make sure that they worked, but I think they do.
Like,
And,
it's masterful. I mean, the way that fits with the bass part, this is...
So another challenge, an
Yeah.
arranging challenge, presented itself when we were trying to do this tune, just the 2 of us, because it's a hard part to play,
Right.
and it's a hard part.
Rearranging
It
it
would be
for
hard for
just
her to play that part and sing with it.
2
Oh, yeah.
So,
instruments.
so
yeah.
we were trying to I said, well, maybe I could do a version of myself by myself, and then I fell back on my memory from a time when we had a trio, and we were trying. We wanted to do some of the songs that we had typically done with a quintet, and we found that some of them just weren't going to work if we just played them the same way we played them without the other instruments.
Yeah.
So we had to rethink like parts and arrangements. And what I discovered was when you have fewer people playing, it's best to try to find a way to do the most sparse and minimal sort of thing, especially early in the song, as you can, that you can find and sort of have be musical, because then you have some room to add some stuff. If you don't start there, it's just going to be, you're going to be trying too hard to get it to.
You have
do
to
something
embrace
different,
the
space,
the sparseness of your. Embrace
so-
your situation.
Yeah.
You know,
I
To be
know
like,
exactly
okay,
what
that's all
like.
we got.
You gotta sort of, accept it for what it is. So, but the limitations paradoxically become
Right.
strengths
Yeah.
if you find a way to sort of, be clever about it. I think.
Yeah.
So I haven't really worked this out, but we're gonna try it anyway.
You gonna do it?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's try it anyway.
All right. So this
It's,
one's called "Take Care," and this is
and I'll
dedicated to
actually ask
moms.
You can
all the
demonstrate that
moms.
more if you want, but I'd rather just sort of demonstrate
Yeah.
the challenge of like one instrument
Yeah,
and one voice
that's
to
good.
sort of see what we can do.
Yeah.
It'd be great if people could hear the
Yeah,
recorded version, because I do like the way it kind of that even that builds. Where
I'll
we
leave it
wait,
to it, yeah.
we don't. The bass waits a long time to come in.
Yeah.
And because we don't have it, it's like when it does come in, it's this feels satisfying. But I'm trying to imitate something of that shape, with
I'll
this-
leave you to
with
it.
this.
I'll leave you to it.
But it's like I said, this is untried so far. We've never
Yeah.
done this.
That's right.
So let's see. How would I start it? I think I would just vamp up.
Food is good if it's organically grown without pesticides, plastic wrap, styrofoam, growth hormones, horrific conditions for hardworking humans or cows or chickens. If it's from far away or hydrogenated, farmed, wild but unregulated, refined, streamlined, bottled or canned, don't try it. Don't buy it from your fellow man. Perhaps you should abstain. Please take care of yourself. I'm not trying to impart a morose existence. Life's an art, perspective needs distance. But it does seem you have to be mean and scrappy and fight to get living right. Water is good if it's clear and clean, free of heavy metals and polyethylene, filtered, fresh, locally sourced, and it doesn't catch fire in your sink, of course. And clothing's all right when sustainably made, but find me one seam that's truly fair trade, meaning well-paid, unionized, grown-up souls realizing desires and ambitions and goals. Perhaps you should abstain. This is for your health. I know it sounds insane, but please take care of yourself. I'm not trying to impart a morose existence. Life is an art. Perspective needs distance. But you gotta be mean and scrappy and fight if you're ever gonna begin to get it. Living's okay if you can really survive without time to enjoy, relations to thrive. If you wanna be selfish, cutthroat, mean, join the elite. Take the cash, be obscene. No wonder I'm always lost in a daze, escaping in movies and games and malaise. I wonder if anything will ever change. What strange choices. Perhaps we should abstain. This is for your health. I know it sounds insane, but please take care of yourself. No, I don't mean to prolong a morose existence. Life is an art and perspective needs distance. But it sure seems you gotta get mean and scrappy and fight if you're ever gonna begin to get living right. Ooh, yeah. Hey, Mama. Come on now, let's have a party. I'll bring food and water. Ole.
Something like that.
That's amazing.
Very difficult. not quite worked out, but
No, but that's great.
but so I was trying to get little things, like little details, like the bass line is that.
Yeah.
But then there's also this keyboard part.
Yeah.
So that together is so.
Nice. Yeah.
Almost. Etc. So it's tricky, but it's fun.
That makes. I have to mention something else. So for our viewers out there, if you're not aware of it, John's got 4 books of solo guitar arrangements
That's
out.
true, yes.
And have you done an album for each one? I think you have.
No, but there are 2 albums now of collections of songs from the various books. They're not paired with the
Right,
books, but
right.
But there's a lot of songs on them.
Yeah.
So,
But that deft touch with arranging and making great decisions about how to distribute the notes on the guitars, it shows through in everything you do.
Oh, well, record making was fun. I mean, a lot of my work is sort of guitar centric because most of the time I'm hired to play guitar. But this was a real thrill and a treat to be able to sort of try to apply some of that to,
Yeah.
a full band,
Yeah.
a song.
Yeah. I'll tell you another thing with this tune. So this tune's, as John says, like a rhythm changer thing in D flat. I think the tonal scheme of it is wild. So it goes on in D flat. But when the marimba, is that what that is? The solo?
Well, it's a.
Did you play that?
I played it on guitar first.
Right.
I played a solo on guitar, and then replayed it on the keyboard.
Right.
But played the same solo
Yeah.
basically that I had played on the
Yeah.
guitar, because I can't improvise. I don't play keyboard well enough to be able to improvise
I know
like
the
that.
feeling, yeah.
But I played a guitar solo, but we wanted a sound that felt more like, that fit with the track more.
Yeah,
We didn't
yeah.
want a guitar solo. We wanted a
playful.
We
sort of.
really, that was an interesting story too. We wanted a steel drum originally.
Oh
And
yeah.
we had found the one guy who I thought would be fantastic. I'm sure he would have been if we could have gotten it together.
Othello Molino.
Oh, he used to
Yeah.
play with Jaco Pastorius.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
he's still alive.
Right.
He must be in his 80s. or
He's
something.
80 something, yeah.
And he's in Florida.
Right.
We got him
and
on the
we got
phone.
him on the
And
phone
he
a
was like,
couple
"Yeah,
times,
I'll
but
do
was-
it. It's no
the
problem."
connection was bad, and we just there were delays and problems, and we really didn't have the budget to go down and fly there and sort of pick him up and take him to a great studio and record.
Yeah.
That would be the great way to do it, and
Yeah.
I think we would have gotten good results. So anyway, this was a long sort of attempt to sort of.
Yeah, we
what are we
spent a
gonna do
long
now?
time.
It was like it was an answer to like the question, what are we going to do now?
Bob Malik was another guy you were talking
Oh,
about getting
Yeah,
on
I
it.
thought he could play clarinet, but
Yeah, right.
that would be wacky.
Yeah.
Just a clarinet solo on this would have been interesting.
But the
But
outcome
this,
was really great.
I think the marimba sounds right for it. I think it's good. So.
I'm in no way am I suggesting any kind of plagiarism, but I tell you what it made me think of, which vaguely made me recall the Goodbye look from the Night Flight.
Oh, good. Yeah.
It's
well,
not the
that
same
does
kind of tune or the
it
same kind
does
of
have
progression.
marimba
It's
in
got
it,
that
right.
thing to it.
The
you know.
island thing to it.
Yeah,
That's
kind of.
cool. I
But the
love
tonal scheme of it, so you're in D flat, then that solo's in B flat,
it. Yeah.
and then you go back.
Back to D flat for her. So all her vocals happen in D flat.
Yeah.
And they're full forms, just
Yeah.
A, B, A each time.
And then
Yeah,
you
the
finish in
ending.
E, right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, we wanted.
And then one of the
we wanted
solos
lift.
is in
It's
B flat.
amazing.
We
It's,
wanted to
it's,
lift,
it's
you
a
know.
masterstroke.
So it's D flat, D flat, B flat, D flat, and E. That's all it is. So those are the keys.
You should write film music, so that's masterful. Absolutely masterful. It's really, I just love it.
I like the little. I mean, it was problematic, and that was another thing to try to solve. I was trying to figure, well, how do I get from, like, because with the bass line we had established already, how do I get from D flat to B flat?
Yeah,
So
that
at the
was
end it-
nice.
So I just did it like that, which just sounds
It's-
like sort of
It's amazing.
vocal writing or something,
Yeah, yeah.
like choir writing or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And that was okay, you know. It's, but then going
Now you
from
have to
D
go
flat
back.
to go up to E, or even coming back, but going
Yeah.
it's the same way. So, but D flat to E. So no, that's wrong. What is it?
Right.
That's
right.
the
yeah.
2/5
that's
though.
But I know, but it's
Kind
still
of a 2/5.
it's most. But see, a lot of it depends on
The bass.
the bass and the direction of the movement of the line. You know, because
Right.
that was, you know. So that's like.
Yeah,
that's a sensible
Yeah,
line.
yeah,
we
yeah,
can
yeah.
all hear that,
Yeah.
And the other one, dun, 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 that's a
Wonderful.
sensible line too.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so it's again, it's rather than thinking sort of just harmonically in that sort of now we're here, now we're here, now if you look for the stuff that goes this way,
Yeah.
and then find beautiful sounding stuff, it opens it up a little.
It's amazing. It's
Come up
totally
with
artful.
solutions that you wouldn't normally
Yeah,
think
yeah,
of,
yeah.
I would never
absolutely
think
artful.
of getting to B flat that way, really. Just, but it was the only thing that worked. That I
Yeah.
could find that because otherwise everything else sounded too fancy or too abrupt or too weird.
Yeah, yeah.
And this at least preserved the shape of the bass line, which was
Yeah.
kind of important.
Yeah.
And also the movement of the stuff on top. That's nice too.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's just full of great harmony.
Yeah,
Everybody's watching.
it's sort of subtle. I mean, it goes by pretty quick.
Yeah,
I don't
sure,
think anybody
yeah.
notices it really. But well, you noticed it. I appreciate that.
There
I
you
appreciate
go.
that. It's not wasted.
We got Andy.
My efforts are not wasted.
Well, yeah. Okay. Do you want to play something else?
Sure.
Yeah.
What do you
wanna
fancy?
Want to go slow?
What do you want us to
Wanna
do?
go
No, I
slow,
want you to
wanna
do
go-
what you
Sure.
want to do.
Let's
How I
do
Wish?
How I Wish. Yeah.
Okay.
I got to tune the low D though. How do you turn this tune on? Just push it. Yeah. That's it. I think it's good enough. I have to be. Oh yeah. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
How I wish I could bring tenderness, leavening, and to bear the fact of each heinous act to which I've been a part. Oh, my black American heart, what I'd give and unlearn should some peace and concern fill this empty dread on the wire we tread between fear and disgrace. Oh, my red American face, would my life endlessly journeying, and yet to hear freedom ring, must we all be tossed on the nation's cross before the truth is whole? Oh, my lost American soul. No more, no more.
All right.
Oh, I might need a minute. Beautiful. There's quite a range of stuff on this album. It's like a, I don't know, a great novel or something. It goes a lot of places. and that brings me not that neatly to something I've just got in front of me. I don't know if I can play this groove. But this really cool. It says, please come on inside. You don't have to play it. But I just mean, just
We'll
in terms
play
of the
it.
range of grooves. You got this. That's so good. I want to go. Is that right?
Yeah. Basically, yeah. The only difference is that I put a C in the bass on the second.
Do you?
Yeah. It's,
Oh, you do that? Okay. Take it all back. I just love that.
So, can you want to play while I sing a little bit?
Sure. Or you could play it.
Okay.
The wind is howling, the moon is wide. I know you're lonesome. Please come on inside. Please come on inside. Come on inside. I hear you growling. I feel your pride. Let me ease your suffering, child. Please come on inside. Please, please come on inside. Come on inside. Oh, come on, come in. Let the healing begin. Here where it's warm and it's dry. We gon' sleep into the morning light. We're gonna learn to live again by and by. That road is long, but I'll be strong enough for the two of us to get by. So you can sleep into the morning, sleep into the morning light, learn to live again by and by. Come on inside. Come on in. Please
'cause I've tried. It's a mean old man's world out there. Please come on inside. Please come on inside. Come on inside. Come on, come in, let the healing begin. In here it's warm and it's dry. We are asleep into the morning child. We're gonna learn to live again. By and by that road is long, but I will be strong enough for the two of us to get by. So sleep, sleep into the morning child. We've got to learn, we've got to live again. By and by, come on inside, come on in. Come on inside, come on, come on in, come on in, come on, come on, come on in, come on inside, come on, come on, come on in, please come on in, come on inside, come on in, please come on in, please come on in. Come on in. Please come on in. Yeah. That's it up.
Difficult. It's much better with the big band.
I was waiting for you to come back.
No, I
to
don't.
to jump on it.
I tell you what that made me think of. It just jogged my memory in terms of a question I wrote out a day or so ago. Just looking through the back catalogue, you've got history with Steely Dan related guitar players. So I saw that Dean Parks played on quite a lot of your earlier stuff.
Absolutely.
Oh, with
that
me.
Made me think. I did an interview with Dean
Yeah.
after I did one with you, and it was really hard to get to. James Raymond hooked me up with him, Chevy Crosby's son, and I couldn't believe it happened. But he was in his home studio, and he was just talking about harmony or something, and then all of a sudden he started playing a groove, and he went into like. It sounded like he just switched into being Dean Parks. It's like-
Yeah.
It's incredibly groovy. It's like everything is just exquisite.
Yeah,
And
he's
you've got
something
that
else.
thing. It's like, oh, now now he's playing,
Oh.
which is that internal group. It brings me to a question eventually. How would you describe your approach to time, playing time, grooving, soloing? What would you say about your feeling about time?
I wanted to ask you the same thing.
Well,
How do you do it?
it's, I mean, for me, it was long in the making because there was a time when I sort of just played and didn't really pay close attention to what I was, to the time element, and I was kind of lost in just sort of the enjoyment of it more, I think I used to have a lot more fun playing than I do now. But
Strict time has a tendency
but
to.
after a certain point, there's a kind of a sort of a waking up, I think, that people can do in their development if they are paying attention. And for me, it started to happen. Well, I think it happened earlier, but it came into sharp focus when I found myself rehearsing with Steely Dan. And listening back to recordings, of playing with Steely Dan. And I remember Ted Baker and I used to talk about it all the time.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because Donald would frequently, in the early days of my playing with the band, frequently say, he'd stop and say like, don't anybody ever play anything that happens before the drums happen, like in other words, like he hated when people were rushing, and when you start to listen to your playing and you hear yourself rushing, you start, oh God, how horrible, when you start hearing like how off it can be. You know, you want to correct it. But what I found was I had to work very hard at sort of changing how I perceived my actual playing while I was playing live.
Right.
Because I thought it sounded a certain way, and then I would listen back and realize, no, it doesn't sound like I feel like I'm playing it.
Wow.
It sounds earlier in time than I feel like I'm playing it.
Yeah.
So I had to like, very self-consciously just sort of force myself to play in time consistently, but gradually sort of work at making it a little bit back in the time to make it work with Steely Dan.
Yeah.
And it's very funny because I got much better at it, and I could listen to recordings and not wince, anymore. But I remember like coming off a tour after this, and Zev Katz hired me to play on I don't know, some kind of jingle or something, that he was recording. And I was playing, and I had apparently internalized that habit of playing like way back, in the time, And he seemed a little reluctant to sort of tell me, but like after a few takes, he said, "John, is there any way I could get you to play a little more on top than that? Because it's the kind of feel for this track needs that." And different music does need different approaches that way. I mean, if you remember, my favorite example of this is Stuart Copeland with the Police. You hear him like where he's putting the time, is often like it's leaning forward.
Oh, yeah.
And if you try to put a click on it, you really know it's not going to work. There are times when he's
Yeah.
ahead of it, and then it'll settle back a little bit. But basically, it's on the front edge of it because it needs to feel that, because there was a punk element of the whole like idea of the sound of that band.
Absolutely.
It was a reggae element too, but there was a punk element, and it had to sort of be driven, And to have a laid back guy who's like not playing very hard and just kind of keeping it kind of groovy and all that would have just fallen flat.
It's amazing that they used Steve Gadd for that gig. No, it's not.
What's that?
Sorry, no. Yeah, that wouldn't work.
That's
Yeah,
it wouldn't work. It'd be horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a different thing. It wouldn't be horrible. It could be beautiful in a different way, but it would never have been the Police.
No.
So that's my point. So
Yeah.
and Steely Dan required that. Not every situation does, but it was not easy for me. I wasn't a guy with naturally good time. I think it was okay, but when I started listening in a very fussy way, I realized, I can improve this.
Right.
And so I think you do it. And nowadays, because you can record, you can see exactly where your your downbeat is, and where your where your upbeats are. And so I worked on it a long time. But I think another thing is it's also sort of it's a touch thing. It's not just time. It's it's sort of the relative volumes of different notes. It's how hard you hit the thing. It's how relaxed you are physically in your body. And it's it just gets better when you. It's like a dancer. Dancer learns steps. When you're learning the steps, you've broken it apart, and it's not one constant flowing thing. It's awkward and weird. But when you that point when like somebody learns it, and all of a sudden there isn't a step 1 and step 2 anymore. It's just a flow of movement, and that happens with parts that you play too. But so a lot of it's just time on the instrument, and but preferably time with other great musicians or with a metronome.
Yeah.
You can do it with a metronome.
Yeah.
It's just it's more fun with a band.
I mean, I'm thinking, just you saying that makes me think of, I bought a record of a Bob Berg record you were on.
Oh yeah.
Like of last year or something. I wonder, do you think that might be a factor of spending time playing that sort of virtuosic music, very harmonically intense music where you have to make that kind of intense statement? At one point, I'm sure I saw a thing where you play with Mike Stern. You and Mike Stern, is that right?
Yeah, there are a couple
With
things.
Bob Berg.
Yeah. That was.
Do you know what I mean? In that being in that zone of playing harmonically intense stuff and obsessing about notes and chords and how they go together at that intense level. I wonder if that.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I wonder if that sort of can detract from that more deliberate rhythmic approach when you've got to spend so much time digging deep with the harmony.
I suppose. I mean, ideally, once you sort of have brought to your attention, like and when you're in a habit, I think, of sort of paying attention to rhythmic, and you get better at listening to other people around you while you're playing, and like try to sort of make sure that you're locked in, you know. For the best players, it seeps into their solo playing too, and they can do it regardless of the difficulty of harmony. I don't always feel that confident myself, but you know, if you take some of the greatest virtuosos we've known, like in our era, like Michael Brecker, you know, I mean, his time never was compromised, regardless of the virtuosity or the difficulty of the chord changes. You know,
absolutely.
and this, you know, that's remarkable. But it's that level of expertise that's unattainable to me. But you know, I think, you know, there's so many aspects of the art to study, you know, and they all sort of have to be incorporated, you know, for the greatest music to happen.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But I mean, the invention of the tape recorder is a great help. You know? The fact that you can listen back and critique yourself.
The
if you're
fact
willing
you
to
can
take the
record at
time to
home
do
as well.
that, you know, and
you know,
that's
that
so
technology where you can.
I mean, it's available to everybody.
Absolutely,
you know,
yeah.
So that's fantastic. You know, and I think as a result, people's time has gotten better. I mean,
Right.
I think like even like musicians earlier in their careers get better at that.
Yeah.
Because it's expected and there are tools to sort of help you refine it sooner, I think, than there used to be.
I think I should get you to ask some questions of Maddie, because I don't know anything about
something actually about your range, because you glide down to like a D flat below middle C with such grace and ease. Is that like your natural comfort zone? Did you train your voice to get those lovely low notes?
D flat. I
Yeah.
can't sing a D flat.
Yeah, you can.
Below middle,
can.
well, you mean down here? That's very low. Yeah.
We're doing. You
Up,
get
down.
down there. Below middle C.
Well, I thought this was middle C.
That's
This
middle
is
C, but below it would be. That would be a D flat.
Yeah, you can get down
No, I
there.
can't.
I'm sure we heard one of those.
We
Wait,
heard
wait,
it.
wait, wait. Wait, this is middle C or this is middle C? This is middle C. So.
Yeah, so you're playing a C below middle C, so she can get that.
And that's what I mean.
That's pretty low.
It's really low.
It's
It's
pretty low.
really low for a girl.
But she doesn't sing that down there that much.
But it's
but
not
you
a big
can-
range.
you
I
can-
don't have a big range.
But you can get to Fs.
No.
But you
do
can
tunes
get
in B
to
flat,
sing
and
a
she
low
sings.
note so
You sing.
easily. Yeah, see?
That's very low.
I can't do B flat. No.
But did you
I think that's
train your voice, because you use natural resonance in when you sing? So did you train your voice to get really down there, or is it your natural comfort zone? Or
Well, I was told I was an alto,
Yeah.
but I found out later from a different vocal coach that I'm not a real alto. Well, and then like Marian Anderson would be like a contralto. She probably can go down to like an A.
right?
But I think I'm just like a
What's
regular
a real alto? If you're not a real alto, what do you?
a
what does that mean?
contralto, a real alto.
Be like an F below middle C or something, wouldn't it? Comfort. That would be like.
I
as
think
low as
a
it
real alto has their strongest voice in that
in
range.
Yeah, in the lower tone.
Whereas that's the lower range of my voice.
Of
I don't have a
female voice.
huge range either.
How
But
far do you go up the dusty end then with your?
the dusty end?
See, there's you got a
Yeah.
range.
Or we used to do this one. Yeah.
That's just a G.
That's just a G, you see? That's where I tend to live, right
Yeah.
around. I usually don't sing up there.
No.
But you've got really good control, you know, because you can hear your natural resonance. You can hear the training. Not in. I don't mean that it's.
Well, I
forefront,
I
but-
lost my voice.
No.
Yeah, I lost my voice. I made a record. My first record, people probably don't know my first record. It was back in 1994, and I was 22
Yeah.
or so. And made a record and went on tour
Yeah.
and did all these interviews and just followed the instructions that I was given on what to do and keep working.
Sure.
And it was quite busy, and I didn't really know how to handle that type of schedule.
Yeah.
So I came off the road. Actually, drinking and everything wasn't a problem yet, apparently, because I hadn't lost my voice during that tour.
No.
But it's when I went back into the studio to make a second record
Sure.
that I don't know, I felt I got stressed out or something, and I
Yeah.
just stopped singing. So they said, okay,
Wow.
well, and this was back in the days when there was a certain type of context with the label and everything, where, like, how do I live now? Like, well, until you make a record, we're not going to lend you any more money. So you were doing all of this on credit. So I didn't know that. I said, really? I can't.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I went off and looked for a way to handle and get my voice back.
Right.
And it took me a few years, and I finally, I saw doctors that said, well, there's surgery for not, sort of,
Nerves or something.
yeah, it was more like a vocal cyst that I had
Right. Yeah.
that was irritated the more you work,
Yeah.
And I went to see a teacher. I got a label to pay for me to get these lessons with this
Yeah.
teacher, and she's been my teacher ever since.
Brilliant.
And so I have a routine. I have tons of recordings of her
Yeah.
and me doing exercises together,
Yeah.
working on different aspects of different things, trying to learn. She's she works with Broadway people a lot,
Yeah.
so people that might not sing normally,
Sure.
but have to learn how to manage the technique of being on a Broadway stage.
Yeah.
Or she gets great actors that come in, and all of a sudden you'll go to
Wow.
her for a lesson. There'll be like this famous guy standing there going,
Amazing.
I've got to learn to sing. Oh God. And she knows all of the different, like, the anatomy of how to produce sound in the human
Yes.
body is insane. There's so many things involved.
Sure. Yeah.
It's, more complicated than any other instrument that ever was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Uh,
And that
this
probably.
this is pretty crude. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, but you guys have a lot of
That's
accessories
true,
that
we
we
do.
don't
That's
have. I mean, and maybe that's more complicated now. Now that you've gotten into, because Guitar World and amps and all that stuff, it gets really complicated. I don't know. I mean,
Gets very
they
expensive.
really are sound
expensive.
people, right? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like being a guitar player is like, it seems to me maybe with electric keyboards is the same, but electric guitar was like first, wasn't it? It was the one that was just like, oh, we can really do anything
Yeah,
now.
it's been very. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways to.
You can do anything.
It's very versatile guitar. Instrument.
It's too many options for
It's
me.
got a lot of options.
Yeah.
It's a little bizarre.
Option anxiety.
How wild it is.
Whereas with the human voice, you get whatever you got.
Yeah.
You're not going to be
Yeah,
able to ever change the kind of
The
voice
basic
you've got.
voice
But
that
you do, like you said, with training, you do
Yeah.
have a surprising amount of things that you didn't know you could do.
But you're
Like
just
my
so in
teacher would
control,
like make me like I'd be like, yeah, I can't sing up there and I can't feel it. She's like, walk backwards on one foot. I said, what? And now do it.
Yeah.
And then it's there. It's like,
Crazy,
oh, that
yeah.
was easy.
Yeah.
So the exercises that I do with my vocal coach are often about trying to do something that you didn't know you could do,
Yeah.
and then relax into being able to do that.
That's interesting.
Because one of my favorite things was when I lost my voice for a few years, it was quite psychological. I had to figure out, like, what's going on,
Yeah, sure.
And one of many things that I discovered is, like, for example, look at the way it almost became kind of Buddhist, because, like, look at the way babies cry when they're really crying, when
Yeah.
they're like so annoying that you can't get away from them. Use that. Like, how come they never lose their voice?
Yeah.
How come they just scream and scream and their whole body is just like, going through all these things, and they just manage to scream and loud, right?
sure,
Where's all that volume
Yeah.
coming from? Where's the amplifier, So it's a fascinating thing.
Yeah.
So the human voice has some, like, incredible things to it, and it's your own body that's resonating, isn't it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe if you have more space in your head, it makes you sound better.
Well, as soon as it changes, it changes it.
It's a resonator, isn't it?
It
Yeah,
is.
it changes it. I'm sure. I mean,
But
there's so
I'm
many
just being
factors.
silly. But it's all of it. All of it matters, and it's all very interesting. And then at the end of the day, with the human voice, I think it's really personal.
Mm.
It's just
Yeah.
because it's another aspect of a good reason to be alive. It's because
Absolutely.
you can just acknowledge what you got
Yeah.
and just be that.
Yeah. Brilliant. Nice. Lovely. Thank you.
There isn't a bad voice on the planet.
Absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Really interesting. And in terms of your relaxed delivery, influences Billie Holiday. I know that
Yeah, absolutely.
you've
Billie
really
Holiday.
studied.
Yeah.
Anyone else that you would add into that palette?
Well, yeah. I think of Ella Fitzgerald a lot too. Somebody who had that same kind of mastery that you were talking about, being willing to not just go use the virtuosity.
Yeah.
So much control.
Yeah.
Restraint.
Exactly, restraint.
But without,
Yeah.
but without any compromise of sort of investing deeply in the performance and getting the thing.
Absolutely.
Across.
Yeah, and I
So
didn't get it
that's
when I
just
was
incredible,
younger. Like
that's
Ella
amazing.
grew on me, whereas
Yeah.
with Billie, it's like instantaneous pathos,
Yes.
Yeah, because it's
and you
wide
feel the
open.
tragedy right away, and it's accessible to a layperson what she's doing, even though I think Billie Holiday is pretty complex as well,
Yeah.
but and restrained as well.
Sure.
yes.
And I don't think that Billie Holiday's choices were based on a lack of technique. I think
No.
that they were
No.
based on
Well, they were choices. Yeah,
Mm.
They were choices.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they were very musical
I
choices.
agree.
But yeah. So I mentioned two people.
Yeah.
Let's do dance.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We can see what happens.
Is that okay,
Of
Andy?
course.
All right.
Yeah, please.
Look at you.
Dance me to your beauty with a burning violin. Dance me through the panic till I'm gathered safely in. Lift me like an olive branch and be
sort of.
It made me think of Jim Hall sometimes. You know
Huh?
Jim Hall?
Oh yeah, I used to love it.
Yeah, that's sort of hyper musical, pure music thing.
That's, of course,
Amazing.
a Leonard Cohen song.
Beautiful. You know, fancy playing everything I do gonna be funky by any chance, do you?
Are you going to play with us?
I might do.
Well, in that case, and you'll sing?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your note? My note is
B
this.
flat.
What's your note?
What's your note? Get to the bridge.
And you're.
Okay, I can do
And you're.
Everything I do is gonna be funky.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah. From now on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go.
All right. Shall we? John's in charge.
that. 1, 2, 3.
Everything I do gonna be funky from now on, yeah. Be myself, do my thing, a little soul can do no harm. Everything I do gonna be funky from now on, yeah. Everything I do gonna be funky from now on, yeah. Everything I do gonna be funky from now on, yeah. Yes. Some may say I ain't got class, but I do what I wanna do. You can groove with me, you can groove if you want, or do just what you wanna do. Oh, shucks. It's never before ever felt so good just being natural me. I got minor hang-ups, I got minor ties. Deep inside, I am free. So let your head down, get into it. It ain't right or wrong. Everything I do gonna be from now on, yeah. Hey, everything I do gonna be funky from now on, yeah. Everything I do gonna be funky from now on, yeah. Everything I do gonna be funky from now on, yeah. Everything I do gonna be funky from now on, yeah.
Pretty good for no rehearsal.
That was great. I like John. Talk about a high voice. Check this guy out.
Yeah, yeah.
Super
And
good.
he talk about a big range too.
Yeah, I'll
Used to
say.
be.
Amazing.
You can get a low B flat. I get a seed sometimes. So early in the morning, I can get a seed.
Blimey. Blimey.
That's not very good.
I have to say, anybody watching, you've got to check out Jon's solo records too. They are great tunes, just wonderful playing. Guys, I can't take any more of your time. It's so kind of you to come and do this.
I want to play one more if you don't.
Oh, man, if
Can we play
you want
Fine
to play
True
more, I
Love?
want to hear it.
Can we do that?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
please.
I like playing this one.
This is from the new record again.
It's the opening track on
Yeah.
the record. Try this one.
Yeah. Together?
No, you start.
All right.
Oh, let's go down to the bayou, find true love. Listen to the blues, the gospel of Jesus. Feel the summer sunshine in the southern breezes. Hear the little babies whimper and cry. Make a little promise, learn how to die. Oh, let's go on to the levee to find true love. Listen to the brass bands do the second line. Pick a little guitar, spill a little wine. Yeah, the little babies whimper and cry. Make a little promise, learn how to die. Oh, I promise to be open, to feel the joy and pain. The only way to make alive is to fail. Try again. Oh, let's go down to the hilltop to find true love. Listen to the seasons from above the tree line. Pick a little fresh cone, spill a little moonshine. Hear the little babies whimper and cry. Make a little promise, learn how to Let's go on to the shoreline to find true love. Listen to the ocean, thunder in the sky. Feel a little empty, run a little dry. Hear the little babies whimper and cry. Make a little promise, learn how to die. Oh, I promise to be open, to feel the joy and pain. The only way to make alive is to fail. Try again. So let's go down to the bayou, find true love. Listen to the blues, the gospel of Jesus. Feel the summer sunshine in the southern breezes. Hear the little babies whimper and cry. Make a little promise, learn. Make a little promise, make a little promise.
tough.
It's tough.
It's tough to get it right.
Well, you know, yeah, and
We better go.
two, guitars this close up, and this quiet,
This
this
much
exposed,
naked. Yeah, this
it's
exposed. Yeah.
Always a challenge.
Well, there's a beauty to it
The-
being so pared back.
Well, that.
Thank
I-
you.
I agree. Thank you. But it can be, and but it's harrowing.
Well, there's a lot more things can go wrong, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, you hear them, when they do.
Yeah, I guess that's what it
That's
is.
what it is. I think.
Can I ask one more question?
Please.
So, sorry, guitar.
No, I
Just something I
understand.
meant to ask you ages ago. I did an interview on the channel with Jon ages ago, which was, he's like the Yoda of the guitar. What was that quote? In terms of practicing, you should practice what you wish you could improvise or something.
Oh no. That's. I often get students who want to improve their soloing, and so my single, I think, most valuable nugget of advice is compose what you wish you could improvise.
Right.
And then, like, parenthetically, I would say, and then do it again on the same thing you're trying to learn.
Yeah.
Don't just do it once,
Yeah,
because then you've just sort of scripted something,
You got
which
one
is
option.
good, it's
Yeah.
valuable. But
Yeah.
but if you do it repeatedly, you begin to sort of unlock the secrets to creating a good melody on, say, a bunch of chord progression or something,
Yeah.
and you sort of you get to know the parameters of the song and what works well with it,
Yeah.
because you can't take a cookie cutter kind of approach to that all the time. I
Yeah.
mean, you can if you're playing similar songs.
Yeah.
For instance, if all you ever play is jazz in 4/4 with sort of the standard sort of changes, then you can kind of apply almost everything you learn to almost every song.
Yeah.
But then sometimes there are songs of a different nature, even just different time signatures, different chord progressions that are challenging in new ways. And then I have found, at least, that when I just try to sort of repeatedly go for it live, it doesn't really improve,
Right.
or it improves it very slowly.
Right.
But if I take it home and say, well, what do I wish I could play on this? I compose what I wish I could improvise, and be very critical about it, and edit it until I really love it.
Yeah.
Learn it so I can really repeat it every time.
Yeah.
And then do it again, and then maybe do it several times, and then maybe take phrases from one and mix it up with
So you
phrases
got
from the
options.
other. And so in a way, you're sort of practicing what you hope to be able to do
Yeah.
intuitively
Yeah.
when you improvise,
Yeah.
which is, call on sort of stuff that's been, that you've learned and absorbed in an analytical way, but that now, because you know it so deeply, just comes out more like you're whistling in the shower. or
Sure,
something,
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and so but it's sort of like method acting in a way. You practice sort of, you imitate what it's going to feel like if you could improvise well on this.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and it can work. But
Yeah.
it certain songs are more difficult than others just
Yeah.
by nature. So, but those are the more important ones to do that way.
Yeah, right.
And I found it's not necessary for me to do it on all songs. Like if it's a song that feels more like how I feel at the moment, or how it sounds at the moment, and it is more of a springboard for what I play, then it's not so valuable to sort of do
Sure.
that. But on challenging
Yeah.
chord progressions, or challenging tempos, or challenging
Sure.
time signatures,
Yeah.
That stuff. Like
That's
I said,
what Dean
unless you
Parks
work
did,
it over and
actually,
over again, it
in a
doesn't come out
session.
well,
He
would write solos.
he wrote his own solo right there in the studio.
Right.
Oh, really?
He sat down, looked at this chart, and said, "Hold on, I need a few minutes." And he wrote something, that solo for "I'm All Right," which we've played and I think you've heard. And it's just because the changes were weird. There was like all this. There was just like a little few extra things, but he
Yeah.
was playing over that. She was trying to get the changes,
You know,
and he just like scripted a whole
yeah,
thing and just read it.
right.
That was his approach to getting a particular
That's a certain
kind of
thing.
solo.
I mean, that's a certain thing, and it's the great thing about it is it's supremely musical. He's smart about that.
Yeah.
What I can sometimes miss, about that is that sometimes
the illusion of the first
real
time.
spontaneity
Yeah.
of playing is a beautiful thing, and there's an X factor there that you don't often get. Like
Yeah.
if I've composed something that I really like on a song, I am sometimes tempted to play it, but I think I get better results when I avoid it, you know, because, but it's informed me so that I can get close to it, and there's still that sort of, there's the drama factor for yourself. It is sometimes you, I mean you.
Well,
You're taking
that's
risks. I
what
mean,
a lot
to
of
increase the
musicians
risks a
were
little
doing
bit, you know?
for centuries, right? I mean, the idea of improvising, like needing to be an improvisationist. Is that a word?
Improvisers.
Yeah, that's better. But
Well, I don't know. There's a great tradition that's, I think, unrecognized sometimes of great jazz players scripting their solos as well. For instance, I remember hearing like this amazing Nat King Cole solo on T for Two. He plays this thing. It's on a TV show, you know. He's not looking at the piano. He's smiling at the camera, you know. It's just the most amazing stuff is coming out, you know, and it's just so slick. And it's got tricks with the sliding around. It's just amazing. And it's jaw dropping and beautiful, and it's totally in the style that they probably improvised in. But I was so happy and relieved to find an audio recording somewhere, not from the TV show, from a different gig, obviously a different gig, where he played almost exactly the same thing. Not exactly, a couple of notes were a little different, but he was probably trying to play the same thing or intended to play the same thing. And it's just as fantastic. And I just breathed such a sigh of relief because it really feels like too much to sort of set the bar that high for excellence and then routinely fail to make it, you know. So, you know, sometimes it helps. But I do think that there's something about sort of doing that kind of training. In other words, write a bunch of solos until you can, you know, all of a sudden you're able to improvise on a level that's very close to that, but is improvising. And so you get the energy of the improvising back, but you get some of the quality of the stuff that you've learned about what works and what you've sort of memorized. Because imagine somebody playing like rhythm changes that, you know, up tempo. Nobody's thinking one note to the next.
It's
They're
impossible.
thinking in chunks of notes and phrases and sometimes whole choruses. You know? And you know, so depending on the degree of difficulty of the song, you have to approach it different ways as an improviser. That's just it just comes with the territory. And I think I should probably work to sort of accept that there's going to be risk. If you're going to risk to improvise, you're going to fail sometimes. You know, there are going to be weak moments, and it's not going to be great. You know, but I don't like that. So I've tried to do this, and I think the reason I came up with that idea and that I do it regularly is because for me it works. I don't know if everybody needs to. You know, they don't. You know, or everybody wants to.
I think everybody should.
But for me it works. You know, so
So leading on from there, then. That wasn't actually the question. The question was playing with Steely Dan. How was playing with Steely Dan, playing that music over those kind of changes, which are sort of unlike most other things, even though it shares a lot of information. I'm thinking about the slash chord, kind of those sort of very idiosyncratic things. How has playing in that band affected your playing in general? Anything particularly stand out?
Well, the thing that stands out for me is. And this, I've always, before I got that job, I had always been in awe of you know, my various idols, musical idols, and you know, it felt somehow sort of strange and ironic that all the people I liked were specialists, you know, like George Benson on the guitar, or something, is a great jazz guitar player, but you know, he's never played lap steel. He's never played a slide. You know, he's never figured out Joni Mitchell tunings. Or, you know, all the stuff I spent time doing. You know, and so I was definitely sort of groomed in a very wide, sort of spread out manner. And as a result, I didn't feel like a specialist of any kind at all.
Right.
But when the Steely Dan gig happened, not the first couple of years, but I've done it now for 24 years. About 3 tours in, maybe, the light bulb went off, and I said, this is how people do it. You know, I mean, if imagine, because I was beginning to sort of have like an opportunity in the world, which I think all those specialists that I loved had from a very young age. So imagine George Benson. When he starts gigging like for money, he's probably 16, 17, 18 years old, something like that, you know. And he's playing a guitar set up a particular way. You know, he's playing a particular style of music with a particular kind of, with all its conventions, and you know, and playing with great players, with the high stakes of an interested, expectant audience. Probably getting okay money, not great money probably in the beginning, but Jack Macduff never paid me very well, I can tell you that. But you know, conditions
He never
that,
paid
that,
you at
that
all.
not very much, no. But all these conditions that sort of motivated him, and he would take the guitar home and practice for that very gig, you know, very focused practice. Yeah. He wasn't trying to sort of like, you know, make a living as a session player. He had one task to do, and he focused on that only. And he did it for what now, 50, 60 years at least, you know. And well, okay, you know, that's different from my history, you know. And but I started to get a glimpse of that after several years with Steely Dan, because the opportunities were there in every way. I mean, it was a good paying gig. It was great technical help, so we had the sounds were always good. Fantastic musicians to play with, a fantastic song catalog to play, but also, more importantly, the same situation, the same songs, the same solos I had to sort of get better at every year. And I did my homework. I took it home. I'd listen to recordings of prior tours and say, oh, I don't like what I did there. I gotta find out I gotta figure out how to do that one better. Or, but I like that one. That's good. I'm gonna keep that. You know? So I would like pick and choose and try to sort of, you know, rebuild the vocabulary for all those moments when I could sort of be featured as a soloist. Because Donald and Walter never had any instructions about how I should play the gig. Amazingly, right? For guys who have a, you know, reputation of being very fussy, they never had any instructions really for me. So, you know, I was free to do it the way I wanted, and I think I actually approached it in a much more conservative way than they probably would have wanted or needed, because I was a fan of the music, you know, and like to sort of ignore some of those guitar parts and not play, or not at least reference them either sonically or maybe with the opening lick or whatever, you know. It felt just like sacrilege to me, you know, because if I were in the audience, I would be disappointed if the guitar player didn't at least sort of realize, like, you know, the sort of historical power of that music and how great it was. I wanted to imitate that. So I wanted to make sure I got that happening, but I also wanted to make sure there was room for personal expression. If there was, I wanted to take advantage of it. And so over the years, to be able to build on that, that was my first glimpse into sort of like, okay, well, this is the way I'm going to play, like electric guitar solos in this general style of music. And I tried to make sure I got some of that on my own records. But the first record, it's not really there on the first couple records. It's there by time on my hands, to me. Because that record was, I wanted to put the guitar forward. And I had realized, like, I had like a breakthrough that way with Steely Dan because of that repeated opportunity. And I wanted to make sure that some of what I felt I had sort of been able to develop that felt more like signature sounds, more personal than I'd ever been, you know. I wanted to get that on my own record, not just on one of their records. So I got a glimpse. I still don't feel like anything like, you know, those specialists who really got a whole lifetime to do that. But you know, because I still love, you know what I love. I mean, I like
rounds.
I dug into. I love the rounds. How many rounds did George Benson write?
0.
You know, so I mean, and you know, I love arranging these tunes. You know, I love writing songs. I mean, you know, I'm
You
spread,
love singing too.
I'm spread wide because I love it. You know? I mean, so I don't think you can choose to be a specialist really, or be a, you know, spread more widely like I've been, because I think you need to work with your nature. You know, it's who you are.
But if you're, it seems that, sorry to interrupt, but look at it from the outside. You think of somebody like Herbie Hancock. Herbie Hancock's a monster groove player and loves funk, obviously.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
Headhunters and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
That's his personality. This is your personality. You're sort of interested in all this stuff.
Well, his are quite wide too. His range is unbelievable. I mean, it was. I'd love to have heard him play classical music because he clearly grew up playing it. You know, amazing. So, and I'm sure he was great at it. You know. but he loves such a range of music.
Yeah.
But anyway, you get the idea, and
And he's right. I think you are a specialist. I don't know what.
I don't think I'm a
why you do
specialist.
that.
I mean,
But it is different to sit to purposefully choose or be given the opportunity to be limited, because it's an
that's
opportunity.
what it was for me, and I realized it is that. I mean,
And just say,
but
oh, I'm
some
just going to be
people-
able to just play this kind of thing for a really long time, and you get good at it.
Yeah, you get better at it. I mean, that's what it takes, obviously.
Well, see, you're interested in also. I hear some of your stuff, and I hear like Hank Williams, and just a little touch of some. You know what I mean? It seems like it's quite a.
Yeah,
broad-
Hank Williams. There you go. Oh, I'm sorry. The question about influences. Yeah,
Well, he's
absolutely.
got-
I
he's
listened.
got-
It's
he did
what
a
I
scoop
listened
over
to.
once,
She
one or
loves
two, and I thought, oh,
Hank
sounds
Williams.
good.
Yeah.
We love Hank Williams. yeah.
Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks for being here in the room, and thanks for anybody watching.
Thank you
and
for having
please
us.
check
Thanks for
out
the
new
technical help.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks to our helpers.
Thank you.
All right.
And
Thank you,
scene.
Oh, thank you, man.
You can have us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And Patti for the extra question.